for joining us. We in the BkSWAB take our job seriously in representing all of Brooklyn in sharing concerns about solid waste issues. Concerns, thumbs up, all of the above. And we're so delighted to have our Brooklyn Borough President here with us tonight, Antonio Reynoso, who was the chair of the Sanitation Committee. So we've been working with him in another capacity for quite a long time, and we're very happy to have him presiding over us as Borough President. So perhaps you could say a few words now, Borough President Reynoso.
So I'm extremely happy to be here and to see the representatives from the community boards, which I think is awesome that we're having these talks and these conversations. Obviously, I care deeply about trash, so to see people wanting to gather to talk about it, it makes me very happy. Talking with the BkSWAB, who are what I consider the foremost experts or advocates for getting it right when it comes to trash, I think is really going to be eye-opening for some folks and helpful. So should you have any questions or concerns, please make sure that you ask them. I know I've also been joined here by Lacey Tauber, who is my legislative director, who can also be helpful. But thank you guys so much for being here. So very excited. And thank you, Rhonda. And Shari.
Yeah. Thank you. I should also introduce the other BkSWAB members here tonight. We have Oliver Wright, who's the chair of the BkSWAB. We have Elizabeth Roseman, who is the Sergeant at Arms. And then we have Michael Reeser, who is a member of our committee and a longtime member. And we also have Mark Hellerman and Bella Mukari, who are also here on this committee doing the good work. So we are very delighted to, and I'm Rhonda, as Sherry's already introduced me. So we're delighted to sort of help facilitate this conversation because we on the BkSWAB get to talk trash every month, and we know we wanted to extend that privilege to other people. We know that many of you are on your sanitation committees or what you might call it in your particular community board. But we wanted those concerns to have a place to go. And you guys always have a home with us. You can come every month to our BkSWAB meetings. You're welcome to come. They are still over Zoom right now. There's talk of bringing them into a hybrid situation where you can come to the Borough Hall and into a beautiful meeting room. And we also have, but the Zoom has been very, very helpful in getting more, far-reaching, far-flung members. So we really have been looking to try to encourage more people to come. So thank you all for coming. We will be breaking out into breakout rooms to give everyone more of a chance to really dig in to the issues that affect you and that are concerning to you and your community board, and to sort of exchange information to exchange your ideas, even if it's just to list your issues that you have, and then we can come back together and sort of share those out. Is there anything I'm missing, Sherry or Oliver or anyone? Good?
Were you going to talk first about, we're all going to go around and share?
Oh, yeah.
Topics. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Before the breakout rooms, because that's to inform our breakout rooms.
Yeah. So why don't we first go around and share our concerns with your community board so that everyone can hear. I will call on someone and then we'll popcorn it around where you call on the next person, if that's okay. We'll facilitate if that's proves to be challenging. Why don't I start with CB2 and with Nicole McKnight.
Good evening, everyone. And as you mentioned, I'm from Community Board 2. And some concerns that we have within this community board is the availability of places to drop off our food scraps during the week. I know that there's only availability on the weekend, and some private homes or brownstones have the garbage cans, the brown bins that they can use, but it's not always accessible for larger buildings. And also controlling the amount of rats that are in the neighborhood. And those are the two immediate things that come to mind.
Great ones. Thank you. Do you want to choose someone else, or you prefer if we just?
You can choose. I'm on my
Okay.
phone.
All right. I'll just choose everyone. Okay. So now let us go to Corazon Valiente. I think you are the first here anyway. If you're able to talk. Thank you.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, I was letting Sherry know that I didn't come as like a representative of CB14. They sent the link to us to like come and learn and audit because I've been curious about the swab anyway. So thanks for having this space. But like Nicole was mentioning, definitely we would love some like a food scrap drop off, like an increase of that to have like or mandatory organic pickup if that, you know, if that's helpful for me to say. I would love to have that. But I was just like having, I mean, to walk 3 blocks is not bad, but to be able to like go right downstairs would be awesome too. So, yeah. And oh, like the rats, like, I mean, the rats are like, I don't know if like what happened since I was a kid, but they're like, they seem like dogs these days. They're running down the street. I mean, I see them vaulting fences. I didn't know that they could do that. They were like, and I was like, okay, so like, so rats, the rat thing. So I'll go with those two.
We're going to have to start giving them city council representation, I think.
Do you want me to send it to somebody?
You can, yes, please do.
CB3.
Hi, so I'm Miari Roberts. I'm actually the chair of the Transportation, Sanitation, Environment Committee in CB3. So rats are definitely on the top of our list over here in most of CB3 is in Bed-Stuy. With the expansion of construction and restaurants, rats is a huge problem. Also, I don't know if this is relevant for this organization, but e-waste opportunities. So we don't have, we really want to work on having some drop-off options that are not way out in Greenpoint, wherever that is. And even when the city has other one-off options, they're rarely in CB3. Composting, we would love to have composting be something that happens throughout the district, to be reinstated completely. And then we just got a pilot program for the Clean Curbs program, and we're hoping that is expanded throughout the district, not just 4 locations. Thank you. I can go to CB. I can't see everybody's number. CB12. Beth.
I'm here. I'm just on mobile and trying to figure out mobile while I try to switch to my computer, but hi. Okay. So I'm Beth. I'm from CB12. Just for everyone's reference point, we are Kensington, Borough Park, parts of Midwood. I guess I'll start by saying maybe something a little controversial, which is that I don't know that I personally can say that I represent the needs of everyone in my community board. But I can share with you some things that I know from my neighbors in Kensington, and also, you know, what happens from our neighbors in Borough Park, which like some of those needs overlap and some of them don't. And that's a longer conversation. You know, I think you know, if I were to speak from our statement of district of community of needs in the district, sanitation is a big concern, you know, listed from the community board perspective. And I'm just looking at that. The biggest concerns on that are illegal dumping, and also the basically like lack of enough trash collection from the private yeshivas in Borough Park. Personally speaking, my like actual goal is that I would love to see organics collection be something that somehow we could bring to Borough Park in a way that has buy-in from the community, which is a major uphill battle. And I would say that I'm like at the bottom of the mountain, but working on it. And even better would be to bring organics collection to the yeshivas in Borough Park, because the main complaint is that there's not enough trash pickup from the schools because they don't receive the same amount of sanitation services that the public schools receive, but the public schools are getting organics collection daily, and I would love to see that come to the schools there. So that's my hope, dream. But you know, and then I think other things, you know, here in Kensington, I know my neighbors complain just a lot about trash on the streets and not being taken out. And I think I mentioned the illegal dumping, which is a big issue by Washington Cemetery, apparently. So that's,
Okay.
I'll stop there. I'll have more to say later in the breakout group.
That's great. I'm hearing so far a lot of overlap and some nice, unique topics too. Thank you, everyone. Do you, since you're on your phone, do you want me to just pick the next person? Or
let's see. I can see some people. How about we go to CB10?
Hi, I'm Ann from CB10. I'm also on the zoning committee, so I'm going to leave a little prematurely tonight to attend a conflict meeting with city planning, but I would like to attend this meeting more often. So CB10 is Bay Ridge, Diker Heights, a little bit of the edge of Sunset Park. And as a committee, I think one of our most frequent topics is people depositing their household garbage at the corner trash pails. And so you wake up in the morning and I walk my dog and I get to the corner and not only is the pail full, but there are like 6 black bags surrounding the pail. So that's the problem. Not sure what the solution is. And for myself, my great sadness is to see people to witness people throwing garbage out of their car to the curb. I don't know how we change the psychology of people understanding that the street is also part of their home. It's a vestibule of their residence, so to speak. And so it's confusing to me and very sad. And that's it. I'm happy to be here and to be participating with this topic.
Thank you so much for what you've contributed so far. Would you like to choose the next person, or would you prefer to not have that?
Viola from CB16.
Thank you. You're muted. There we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm District Manager of Community Board 16. I'm sitting in for our Sanitation Committee Chairperson who's away. Like other boards expressed already, we have issues with rats, illegal dumping, and we would also like to see e-waste, because we're seeing our electronics being dumped into our rain gardens. Yes. So that is becoming a major problem in our district.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm disturbed and grateful at the same time. Okay, thanks. And thanks for joining too, I want to say.
You're welcome.
I know you're busy. And thank you also with the other meeting. for representing CB10. Okay, would you like to pick on the next person?
Let's see, did we call on CB5? No?
Do we have
No.
CB5 here?
No, okay.
about-
We have CB5.
How about Barbara Jackson in CB4? Is that okay? Can I go with an adjacent
Sure,
CB?
CB4.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Jackson, CD4, which is in Bushwick. A lot of my concerns are the same as everyone else's, but I also realize a lot of that is not sanitation. A lot of it is people. It's like sanitation doesn't have somebody they can sit on the corner in 24 hours and watch who's putting garbage out there. The thing is that we have to try to catch them. If we're up, take pictures. I would like where we could take our scrap. We used to have a place at Irving Park, but it's no longer there, so maybe we could get it back. And if there was some way that we can get those nice, pretty rat garbage pails, or nice tall brown ones. I know if you go to Rat Academy, sometimes they offer them. I took 2 classes, which was great. But basically, yes, we have rats, but our block is getting better because everything that I learned in the Rat Academy, I got a lot of those mags, the little pamphlets, and I gave to all my neighbors, and I let them know if you don't feed them, they're going to leave our block. So we have to cover our garbage pail. But what I would like, if sanitation could do it, is like people who own like 3-story homes or apartment buildings to supply enough garbage pails for them. You have blocks where you have like 10 to 15 family, apartments, and you got 3 or 4 garbage pails. Of course, the garbage is going to overflow. So there should be something to make them, if you have X amount of family, then you should have X amount of waste and X amount of pails for garbage. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was excellent. I think we have one left, right? We have Roberta Iara de Meneses. How do you say that?
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi. So I'm a known community member from CB4. I'm in Bushwick.
Okay.
And I noticed that, like, as probably everybody else, that the number of rats increased a lot. And I think that's probably due for the misplaced in nearby. I noticed that there is a lot of misplacement where people were putting their trash, even like in the building areas. So the clutter that happens in there, so it makes easy for the rats to hide. Also, I noticed in the night, because that's when they come in the nighttime, lots of buildings are not using their the light that's supposed to be on. So that makes it even more comfortable for those rats to make a little party there. So, so I think those things are things that perhaps could be addressed, maybe in a more easier than maybe train people to throw their trash in the correct place. That's a bit harder. But like to go straight to the owners of the buildings and make sure that they are complying with certain rules, perhaps would help a lot. I don't know. That's my opinion on this matter.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. So everyone has spoken. Does anybody have anything else you want to add that you thought of, that you wanted to amend your original list of concerns? So, yes.
I just want to say one more thing. I think that all of this comes hand in hand with advocating for reduced packaging. because I often think to myself, I wish everyone could receive a little Ziploc bag and be required to not develop any more garbage that fits in that one. I mean, like a gallon size bag. I'm going to be generous, not a sandwich bag, but it's impossible to do with the way particularly our food shopping develops more stuff.
Okay, thank you for adding that, because I think systemic answers are a nice companion to individual, behavior changes. So that's really beautiful. It's near and dear to me, what you just said. So there is some state legislation, which I can talk about later if you need. So should we break into breakout groups now? I mean, I feel like we can really tease out a lot of these. Go ahead, Sherry.
I just wanted to add one thing. Somewhere along the line here, we lost Borough President. So he's not on the call. If he hops back on, I'm sure he'll join one of our breakout rooms, or we'll invite him to join one of the breakout rooms. I know he was on limited time anyway, so I don't necessarily expect him, but Lacey, Legislative Director at the Borough President's Office, thank you for joining us, Anne. And yes, we look forward to having you for more.
Yeah,
thanks for your thoughts from CB10. But yes, Lacey is here, and you're staying for the rest of the event? Yes, perfect. So we will be interacting with still Borough President's Office. So I will turn it back over to you. Yes, I believe the next part is breakout rooms.
Okay, so we are, and just so you all know, just to reinforce that your comments are all being heard. I mean, you're here to be heard, and we are all hearing them. Lacey's here and is taking notes, I see, and from the Borough President's Office. So we all are interested in, being part of this conversation and including you going forward as much as you want to be involved. So now we're into the breakout room section. Do you want to mention the breakout room? Are there going to be topics, right, Sherry? Can you?
I can.
Okay.
If you like, I can helm this bit.
We're bringing in the big guns for this one.
No problem. Yeah. So after, thank you, Rhonda, and thank you everybody for your contributions so far. It's already been really useful. But as has been mentioned, we're going to do a section of breakout rooms now, and we thought we would break into 3 different breakout rooms for until approximately 7:30, which will then allow us about 15-20 minutes for feedback and general discussion before we wrap up. So what we're going to do is have three breakout rooms, and based on the topics that have been brought up so far in the sessions, what we think we're going to do is have one breakout room to discuss organic waste and rats as they go together hand in paw. Another one which will talk about illegal dumping and litter and anything related to collections. And the third one will talk about e-waste and anything else. So that's just based on stuff that people have flagged so far. And the aim of this will be just to have a little bit more of a deep dive into the topics, and potentially get as far as things that could be done either at the community end or at the sanitation end or at the city council end, like basically what needs to be, what do we think needs to happen to improve these situations. So I'm going to create the breakout rooms in just a second. And you'll all get the opportunity to choose which one you go into. So we're not going to force you into any of them. And each one will have a couple of Brooklyn SWAB representatives, one to moderate and one to take some notes. So everything will be kind of captured from that as well. And then what we'll do is once we come back into the main room at 7:30, we will feedback from each of the rooms. So it would be helpful if that wasn't done by the by the moderator. So we'll maybe nominate someone, a participant from each of the rooms to feedback if that's agreeable with everyone.
Welcome back, everybody. I missed you all.
Oh, we missed you too. Roberta, maybe throw something in the chat if you feel like it, Roberta. Roberta got cut off from we were talking about organics and rats, and she was going to say something about.
I'll write in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are we all back?
So is everybody here? Yeah.
I think so.
So should we start sharing back? I'd love to hear from you guys. You want to just start with group one? That was a big group.
It was group one, rodents and organics going hand in hand. I think where we ended up was probably one of the most useful things. We talked a little bit about experiences with rodents and with organic pickup and how it works and doesn't work. But at the end, the point came up: how do we expand this program? How do we get more people on board? How do we convince citizens in a particular community board that it's in their best interests to participate in the organics pickup program if they can, and if they can't, to try to convince Sanit, that it's the sanitation department, that they want it in their neighborhood. And correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody in the group wants to jump in on this, but it seems that that's as far as we got in terms of solutions, that it is about how to spread the word, how to advocate, and how to educate. And I think one of the solutions that came up was perhaps bringing in more people to talk at community board meetings, people from BkSWAB or the big reuse, to discuss these issues at the sanitation committees of the community boards. I think that was one of the takeaways. What about anybody else from the group want to throw something in there on what we came up with?
Hi,
Pardon?
it's Nicole. I just wanted to add that also accessibility, access to more of the bins or drop-off locations. Even if there's information out there, I know I just learned today that sometimes you can go to community gardens. I have a couple within my neighborhood, and just having that awareness and getting that information out is helpful too.
Yeah, so finding grassroots, kind of more grassroots ways of getting the information out. So it doesn't feel like a top-down mandate, right? It just feels like something that the people want.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Does anybody have anything else to add? Sounds like it was a great discussion.
That was pretty much it, I think, from our group. You know, people talked, and we only had 25 minutes. And
I know.
But I think that was it.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, if you think of something later, you can feel free to add it. How about group two? Group two is illegal dumping and collections, is that right?
Yeah, we had a smaller group and we were talking about how, you know, the illegal dumping when it's going to a vacant lot, and who kind of maintains that, and also about like more advocacy, like trying to take pictures and having video cameras on the structures to kind of curb that. But it's a lot about just getting people informed and involved, and that's kind of the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah. it sounds like this is the same sort of theme that comes up over and over again. Like how do we reach our neighbors to educate and dialogue about these things?
And also at the end of the day, catch and find people who are illegally dumping. Barbara was saying that it's, she's gone to some stores on the commercial strip and said, look, you got a lot of garbage outside, and they may say, okay, well, it's not mine, it's not my responsibility, but then being like, well, sanitation might fine you, like, so there's like that like incentive where somebody's like, oh, I don't want this, a face-to-face kind of thing, but in areas that are along railroad tracks or not directly in front of anybody's property, like it's really video cameras that help to for sanitation to catch dumpers, like people who are dumping.
To hold accountability, right?
Accountability,
I wasn't in that room, but if I could just add a thought.
Please.
It's easy to talk about approaches that are either carrot or stick. Stick obviously being things like enforcement and so on. But I think that illegal dumping and littering is definitely one of those things that goes hand in hand with a general sort of disaffection with one's community in general. And so it's very much intertwined, like addressing it is very much intertwined with addressing other issues in the community. So really anything that's pushing for an improvement in the neighborhood generally, that would create a sense of ownership and pride, I suppose, about that neighborhood, will help to reduce things like littering and illegal dumping, because it's just a general improvement. So I think we can be supportive of basically any sort of investment in neighborhoods, like whether it's around like more green spaces, or like obviously more street cleaning and stuff like that, but also like more more community centers, more like after school clubs, things like that. That's all going to help with that sort of thing. So
more neighborhood beautification, opportunities where people can participate, right, and plant a garden here. Or thank you. That your point is well taken, Oliver.
And also that relates to rain gardens. Barbara, I think it was you also that mentioned people using the rain gardens as like a place to dump e-waste, right? So if like there was a nearby school that adopted a rain garden, and if it looked pretty, people would dump elsewhere, not in that rain garden. So that would be some improvement.
And Beth, were you going to add something? Yeah.
I just wanted to echo what Oliver was saying, because I was thinking something very similar, and I also didn't make it to the illegal dumping room, even though I wanted to, which is that, like, it's this question of punitive versus, something else. And I know in our community board, they would love to see more cameras to, punish people and fine them $4,000, for the illegal dumping that happens. But like, what are the other solutions that can be suggested? And, I think all of these are great. And then it just comes back to the question that we were talking about in our room of community buy-in, and how do we, and is there a balance between punitive and more, intrinsically other incentives to improve things?
Yeah. I mean, I know that I, in my day job, I did litter cleanups with students, and the students took a couple of different measures just to see if that would, what would help clean up a certain area. And they did 2 litter cleanups, and they did things like outreach. They did bag giveaways. They did a play that they did about street litter and how it goes to marine pollution. And then they also did a big banner, and they put it right where the area was. And there was 40% less litter from this first 2 litter data collections and the third one. And they also used their data to ask the Department of Sanitation to put up a recycling array there. That was back when they were still had those. We didn't get that, but they were very impressed with the data. So yeah, so that kind of thing, because even if it makes the groundskeepers in the area clean that area up more, people do think that the less litter there is, the less people are likely to continue to litter. But the more litter you see there, the less people really care or think that it matters. So like that is true, like community investment is so important. Michael Reeser, do you want to share that, Michael, with us? I love that note in the chat.
Oh yeah, I just put a link in the chat for the illegal dumping award program, where if you report somebody and they are convicted of illegal dumping, then you are eligible for half of the fine. So good fundraising thing for community board.
How to make friends with your community. Thank you, Michael. That's great to know.
I
Okay.
wonder if there's, sorry, just briefly again.
No.
I wonder if there's scope for when people are caught illegally dumping, giving them the option of either like paying a fine or like explaining why they did it, or like doing something that tries to get to the root of why it is an issue, so that we can start to like address causes rather than symptoms, if you like.
You know, I was going to say that in my early driving days, I was caught speeding like 3 times in a really short time period, and I had to go to driving counseling sponsored by the state of Virginia, and I had to go to this state agency and talk with a group of people about why we speed and could we make a better resolutions, and it was very I guess helpful. It could be helpful for some, you know, like I'm always late, or I was angry, or, you know, something like that. So I was thinking about that for this reason, that, you know, I would want to know why people are doing that, you know, like why would they put residential garbage on the street corner when we have residential garbage that is already covered by our taxes? So I knew someone in the neighborhood, once I used to see him put a liquor bottle out just every morning. So he probably didn't want to know, his family to know that he was drinking as much as he was. So, you know, I can't imagine that that's, you know, the black bag is the reason. Disreputable contractors. Oh, right, right. So say somebody has like a little plumbing job in an apartment. It's just like a little repair, and they've got a bunch of stuff, and then the landlord says, don't put it in my garbage, and then they stick it out. Yeah, that's possible too. Yeah, I feel like these are all good, interesting ideas. All right, okie dokie. All right, so how about group 3? Would you care to share about?
So group 3 was me
e-waste.
and Michael and Anthony, and I asked Anthony to do the feedback. So take it away, Anthony.
Yeah, I think I was the designated presenter. Hello all. Anthony Busworth from Community Board 3. I talked about how in our district, which represents Bed-Stuy, e-waste is becoming a bigger issue because there's very few locations and opportunities for drop-off. And Michael had shared some resources. Mostly the first is the e-cycle for properties that have 10 or more units. But the challenge in Bed-Stuy is that a majority of the buildings are less than 6 stories and don't have any the blocks without 10-unit buildings on them. Lacey also joined the conversation. We both shared that we have boxes in our apartments that have products that we're looking to find a place to drop off. So it's really an access issue. When the safe events occur, they happen in parts of Brooklyn that are very far from central Brooklyn, making it inaccessible for a large number of residents. So, and then on the other piece is that I think it contributes to the dumping issue. A lot of times when folks have, you know, an old television set or something, they set it out by the corner baskets. I mean, Lacey and I are neighbors. You know, a couple of weeks ago, there was a printer that was sitting on our block. So yeah, people just don't know what to do with what they have. And yeah, just a persistent, I would say it's a persistent and growing issue as, you know, folks want to toss their old electronics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a, you know, I guess also the e-waste.
I guess I can talk about some of the solutions that we were talking.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Mention those? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things was, you know, our board is actually, we have quarterly meetings with the council member. So we were thinking that an opportunity would be to collaborate on bringing some sort of event to the neighborhood. And then Lower East Side Ecology Center was mentioned that they partner with council members to do events as well for, you know, a modest fee. And then just some advocacy within DSNY specifically to mention the access concerns with respect to e-waste disposal. Oh, and paint care is an opportunity. We have a lot of renovations, and so we would definitely spread that word around for folks to get either the free pickup or we can figure out some drop-off locations for you know, paint that needs to be disposed of. Did I capture all of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is
Yeah,
your
I
city
think so.
council
Great job.
member? Oh, yes.
We have 4 council folks, but we were the TOSA represents the largest portion of the district.
Oh, nice. Oh, good.
So I would just add that it represents an opportunity to turn anecdotal kind of you know, evidence into an actual case that it's a waste equity issue, or an equity of access issue, at least, by kind of outlining, you know, okay, these are the ways of disposing of e-waste in New York City, and the fact is that in CB3 they don't really have access to any of them. So and then that case can then be made to like Department of Sanitation and the City Council, you know, a bit more properly than just saying, you know, we think it's an issue.
Right. Because good data changes policy. Along with your stories. Yes, we hope. Right. Yeah. So what's next? I mean, what can we, Oliver, Sherry, do you have, should we tease out these issues a little bit?
I also wanted to make one other point from our group.
Yeah.
There was a suggestion, you know, and I don't know, this would be like a Department of Sanitation mandated rule that, you know, like a 3-family home needs to have a certain amount of trash cans and recycling cans. So the number of cans needs to correspond to how many people live in that building or home, because it's really like a rat prevention issue. If rats don't get access to food and water, they go elsewhere. So having enough trash cans with a lid on it is a very simple way to, you know, get rats out of your area. So.
Building on that, actually, I'm not sure that we mentioned this from the first group. I think it was Roberta that shared about the calling 311, and you know, a couple people called 311 on this particular area, and that was being infested. Rats were taking over, and they saw results, and they got people to come out and do it. So it's not just observing, oh, there's a burrow, which is helpful if you know what to look for versus because you can see where they're going if you know what you're looking for versus just waiting for them to run in front of you and then be like, oh, I guess there's rats in this area. But I see burrows all over the place, but actually reporting them to get the rat portal, because there's a rat portal where all these complaints are logged. And if there's activity, you can find out. I'll see if I can find the rat portal. It's on the Rat Academy website, but or it's linked there, I'm sure. But just, getting people a little more engaged to do that one thing. You can do 311 on your phone. It's sometimes personally, it's sometimes taken a while, but other times it gets resolved quickly. So I think that's another thing. And yes, Anthony, make 311 complaints and then follow up with the board office with the complaint number. That's a good suggestion.
That's a really good suggestion. I feel like that needs to be broadcast out in some way. It's always good to follow up because you feel like you don't want to feel like what you're saying goes into a vacuum.
I mean, the agencies report back, the number of 311 complaints across issues to the community board. That's just information I have access to, but if the board office has your complaint number, they can do a specific follow-up on the thing that you complained about. Just an FYI.
Oh, that's great.
This is why I think everyone should take that class, the Rat Academy. Everyone should go to it. I mean, when you hear about it, it's helpful because when she's speaking about making the burrows, it tells you all of this in the book and what you can do to prevent it, to take care of it. So if everybody did it, it would cut down on the rats in the neighborhood. So everyone should kind of be on the same page.
Right.
So yeah, I call 311. So what am I going to do now if I call 311? Oh yeah. So maybe I'll take out that little blue book if I went to the Rat Academy, and it'll tell me what I can do. To keep them from coming in your house.
Right. Yeah, that's awful. I mean, rats.
So I'm laughing, but like I said, I took the class twice.
Wow.
Then I call. You can also call 311, and then you say something about the rats, and they will send you the book because they send me 50 of the books, the pamphlets. They're like send about 20 pages, whatever. They sent me 50, and I was able to give them to all of my neighbors. So I don't know, you guys on the community board, you might want to do that, or you could have somebody from the Vat Academy come in and just set up a class one day.
Oh, that's a great idea for your community board.
Educate the people because, yeah, we're complaining, but those maps are just multiplying.
Right.
And they're smart, like, oh, some creatures are really intelligent creatures. But yeah, like there's stuff you could do. You could rinse your sidewalk down with bleach, and keep it clean, keep it a lid on your garbage, and they'll skip your house and go to the next house. They won't run across your house because it'll smell like bleach. And what I learned is they go on a straight path. So if you because they urinate, so this is how they find their way back.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, I just bleached the whole thing, so now you can't find your way back.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe Lacey's cat had an idea of what to do with for the rats.
I don't want to be bothered with them.
She's interested in this issue in particular.
Yes, very. It looks like it. I actually had a raccoon on my block one night. I was taking my compost out and I saw the raccoon at the garbage, at the black bags, and very enormous raccoon. But I realized later that it was probably a pregnant raccoon. It was just kind of moving along. Anyway. And I hope that she wouldn't, well, get caught up in any rat poison in any way.
So yeah, I can jump in, Rhonda, if you want, because we're at close to time here. And next steps, because you had asked about that, is we are going to compile all of the notes and all the links you've shared, all the information you've shared, and share them out with all of you. We'll have a follow-up survey because we like to get your feedback, and we had planned to do these types of events about 3 times a year. This is our second one. We didn't go into that at the beginning. This is our second one. We had one in June, and then we know that the community boards in general are off for July and August. So we tried to schedule one before the end of the year, and then we'll have a couple again before the end of June in the new year. And so we would love to have you all back. You'll get the invites, and we'd love to have you all back and talk more. But like both I think Rhonda and Oliver said, this is an ongoing discussion. We don't, like, you're welcome to come to the meetings. You're welcome to reach out to us if there's a question, if there's, you know, something going on, or you want some other support. You know, we're an all volunteer organization as well. So we're working to, you know, represent all of Brooklyn in our capacity here, and get your concerns elevated and get some problem solving going, because we all live in the Brooklyn community. So that's what I wanted to share. Anything else to add?
I could just say quickly, just expanding on what Shari said about it being an ongoing dialogue. We'd love to have you at our next general meeting, or any of our general meetings. We meet on the first Monday of the month. We are soon going to be trialing a hybrid sort of system where we're partly in person and partly over Zoom, but I've dropped the registration link for our next meeting, which is November 7th, in the chat. But conversely, we're also very happy to come to you. So if you'd like to have a more general discussion about sanitation issues in your community board specifically in a bit more detail, we'd be happy to attend either your general meeting or a committee meeting. And you know, we can either, like, we have a presentation about general sanitation stuff that we can do, but we can also just do it as a more interactive, like, you know, talk about trash, but make it specific to your area. We're happy to do that. So just, you know, keep in touch and let us know if you'd like us to do anything.
Yeah, so in the general meetings too, we talk about, part of solutions is also legislation and policy change, and we talk a lot about that as much as possible. We try to have, we had a public hearing, our first that I know of, back in February, about some state legislation. Mostly we focus on some city legislation that's out there that does aim to address these issues. We have a really great city council, maybe the most progressive so far, and they're very solid waste positive. There was a social media post today about some rat bill that got passed. The people who were behind the legislation, they posted the rat pack. They posted pictures of this.
I think that's some folks that are on here. I think it's our representatives too.
Yeah.
Andy Nurse, and I think Ase was on there. So yeah.
So great. So thanks everyone so much. We have we'll be getting back to you with some follow-up materials, and we really appreciate everyone coming and sharing.
Good night.